Greetings. In this video, we are going to derive the relation between the pressure inside a bubble, the surface tension, and the radius. And we are going to derive this using integral calculus. So there are derivations on YouTube already, but there are very few derivations that use integral calculus. So plus this derivation will serve a good example of the application of two-dimensional integral calculus. Alright, so let us begin. So I draw a bubble. Assume that this is a bubble. Now inside a bubble there is a pressure which is greater than the pressure outside, and this pressure, this greater pressure, keeps the bubble into existence. This can be understood in the following manner. The fact that the pressure inside is greater. Consider a balloon. Inside a balloon you have air, and this air inside is at a higher pressure than the pressure outside, because if you take a pin and make a hole in the balloon, the air inside will gush outward in a forceful manner and the balloon will blow up. So the pressure inside has to be greater than the pressure outside. Likewise, the pressure inside a bubble is greater than the pressure outside. And on a bubble there are two forces that act which are equal to each other for the condition of equilibrium. So this bubble is in equilibrium with itself, and there are two forces that are playing a role. Number one is the force due to surface tension, gamma, and second, force due to the pressure. And for equilibrium these two are equal. What I mean is, if you cut the bubble into two halves, assume that we cut the bubble into two halves. This is one half. Then the surface tension force, the force due to surface tension, is acting toward the left, and the force due to the pressure is acting towards the right. And at equilibrium these two forces are equal. So we have Fp is equal to F gamma, and this very condition, Fp is equal to F gamma, is going to lead us to the relation between the pressure, tension, and the radius. So let us carry on with the derivation. We notice that F gamma is simple to evaluate. It is the force due to the surface tension. It is the force due to pressure that we need to work. So let me first write force due to the surface tension. We can write this force simply from the definition. The surface tension is defined as the total force divided by the total length. So the total force is F gamma. So this is F gamma divided by the total length. Now the total length is this length of this circumference. By the way, this is a three-dimensional picture, so you may assume this is towards you and this is away from you. So the total length is 2 pi r multiplied by 2 because the film with which the bubble is made of has two layers, two surfaces, sorry. So there are two interfaces, there are two liquid air interfaces. So assume that this is the cross section of the film of the bubble. So be it very thin, it is non-zero. It is present. So there are two circumferences, number 1 and number 2. So because there are two circumferences, we multiply this by 2. So what we have is F gamma is equal to 4 pi r multiplied by gamma. Gamma is the surface tension. So F gamma is done. Now let us evaluate Fp, force due to the pressure, this force which is acting towards the right. Now let me draw the bubble again. This is half the bubble. Now consider a patch of area, an infinitesimally small patch of area. Assume that this is the patch. The area is dA. Now this patch is experiencing a force outward normal to the patch. The magnitude of the force is dF, which is given by PdA. Now we can integrate this dF throughout the surface and calculate the total force, but before we do that, we notice that some components of this dF cancel out and we have to integrate only the surviving component. So this arrow, by the way, so let us find out the surviving component first. By the way, this arrow is slightly towards you, out of the screen. It is a 3-dimensional picture. So we can assume this to be decomposed into two components. This component, again, this arrow which I just drew is slightly towards you, outside the screen, and this another component. Now let us consider a 3-dimensional system, and this is the position vector. Then in spherical coordinates, this angle will be theta, and this angle will be phi. So assume that this origin is located over here. In that case, we see that this component is dF, the lower component is dF sine theta. And we have a component of a component, which is this. Now the green arrow which I have drawn is in the plane of the screen, and this arrow is also in the plane of the screen because we have located the origin over here on the patch. So this green arrow is a component of a component, and you see this angle is the complement of phi dash. So the component green arrow is equal to df, I will write here near the component, df sin theta cos phi dash, cos phi prime. And because phi is the complement of phi, then this is further equal to df sin theta sin phi. So this component, which is equal to df sin theta sin phi, is the only component that survives, because you see, let me draw the bubble again. This is the bubble. Then if I consider a patch of area, this is slightly towards you, then this component which we just considered and decomposed into these two parts, you see the upper part will have a counterpart somewhere below. There will be a patch somewhere below which will have a counterpart down, and these two arrows will cancel each other. So this component, vertical component, does not play any role. Likewise, there is a component coming towards you, component of this arrow coming towards you, exactly towards you, perpendicular to the screen, like this. And this arrow will have a counterpart on the other side of the patch, exactly other side, and it will cancel this arrow. So these two arrows will cancel. So the components are cancelling except this component, which is purely towards the right. Towards the right, which is purely towards the right. That is to say, this green arrow which I have drawn over here is the only component that survives. All other components cancel each other. Alright, so if I integrate this quantity over the entire bubble, then I get the force, total force towards the right. So let us do that. Alright, so consider this, df is equal to p dA. Now in this equation, what I do is, since I am interested in this, I will multiply both the sides with sin theta and sin phi. So I have this df sin theta sin phi is equal to p dA sin theta sin phi. So let me take this down somewhere. Alright, so now if we integrate this equation on both the sides, then the LHS simply becomes Fp, the force we are trying to find out. So LHS is Fp and the RHS is integral P dA sin theta sin phi. Now if you are familiar with the spherical polar coordinates, then you may be knowing that dA is equal to r square sin theta d theta d phi. And if you are not familiar, let me just quickly give you how this comes about. Consider that this is the three-dimensional system, x, y and z. This is our position vector r. It is a three-dimensional picture. This is r, magnitude is r. This angle we call as theta. and this angle we call as phi. Now I want a patch over here about near our position vector, which is this shape. By the way, you can imagine that this patch is a part of a sphere whose radius is r. So this is what we have. Now how do we find the area of this patch? You see, let me draw this patch over here. This is a three-dimensional patch of a sphere. So the area of this patch is equal to this length multiplied by this length. So we will find out these two lengths and multiply with each other. So let us find out the first length first. Let us find out, let me draw the coordinate system again, only the required part. So this is our arrow. Now I slightly increase this angle theta downward, so you see the arrow becomes this, and this length is the first length, this length. So what is the length? The length is, this is, since this is r and this is d theta, infinitesimally small angle, then the length is r d theta, which comes from s is equal to r theta. So one length is done, r theta, this is equal to r d theta angle. And the lower part, for the lower part, what we have is this is our position vector. Now for the lower part, we cannot simply rotate this arrow to the right or left, because if we do, then what is the angle with which it is rotating? It is swiveling. Is it d theta or d phi? It turns out it is neither. So what we do here is consider this component. Since this is theta, then this is going to be r d theta, sorry, r sin theta, r sin theta. And when you rotate this arrow slightly towards like this, and this angle is going to be d phi, because that is the shadow with which the angle is increasing. The shadow is increasing with d phi. So this angle is d phi and this length is r sin theta. Then this length, which is this length, is going to be s is equal to r theta. Arc length is equal to radius into angle. So this length is r sin theta d phi. That is to say r sin theta d phi. Now we have got both the lengths and we multiply, which will give us the patch of area of the patch, and if we multiply we get r square sin theta d theta d phi. Which is this. Alright, now we put this value of dA over here in our equation. So you have integral, by the way you will have two integrals because of d theta and d phi. So p and this box value of dA, boxed value of dA, which is r square sin theta d theta d phi and sin theta sin phi, sin theta and sin phi. Now what will be the limit of integration? Now it depends on us what limit of integration we take, I am taking here 0 to pi by 2, 0 to pi by 2, which will give me the total force for one quadrant. In this diagram, if I take from 0 to pi by 2 this, and over here I take 0 to pi by 2, then I get this quadrant, this one quadrant towards us, and there are 4 such quadrants. So I can take the limit from 0 to pi by 2 for both theta and phi, and multiply that integral with 4, multiply that by 4, and that will give us the total force. So I write here 4 and the limits 0 to pi by 2, 0 to pi by 2. Now let us evaluate this integral. It is a mathematics department work, so let us do that for ourselves, and let us see what it gives, what answer it gives. Since 4, p and r are constants, I take them outside the integral. So we have 4p r square integral from the limits just mentioned, 0 to pi by 2, 0 to pi by 2, and inside we have sine square theta, because there are two sines, and d theta, and sine phi d phi. So we can evaluate this integral by doing this. So we evaluate this integral first, this bracket integral first, and then the remaining part. So let us see. Four p r square integral 0 to pi by 2. Now if you evaluate this integral, the bracket which I have made, then you will find that this integral turns out to be theta by 2 minus sine 2 theta by 4 from 0 to pi by 2, 0 to pi by 2, and the leftover stuff sine phi d phi as it is. I guess more space will be needed. Alright. So, and this further is equal to, if you work out, it turns out to be equal to pi by 4. So you have pi by 4 as the evaluated integral, 0 to pi by 2 sine phi d phi. So pi by 4 is taken outside, so 4p r square pi by 4 integral 0 to pi by 2 sine phi d phi. This then is equal to 4 gets cancelled, and we have p r square pi and this integral. Now if you evaluate this integral, then it turns out to be equal to 1. So I multiply this by 1. So in the end what we have is p r square pi simply. So this is the total force. So what we find here is the total force due to pressure is p r square pi. P r square pi. Now I take this to the very top of the screen. So this is what we found. Fp is equal to p r square pi, and F gamma is 4 pi r gamma. So what do we have here? We have the following. These two boxes, blue and green boxes, are equal according to the black box, and therefore I can write P r square pi is equal to 4 pi r gamma, and we notice things are getting cancelled, and in the end what we are left with is P is equal to 4 gamma divided by r. This is same as this. We are denoting the surface tension by gamma. Now here you have Pi minus P naught. Here we considered only the inside pressure. Outside pressure we assumed it to be 0. So if you assume the outside pressure to be non-zero, then you will have minus P naught. So let me just quickly explain why minus P naught is there. Assume that this is the sphere. Then the pressure inside is acting outward everywhere. Pressure inside is acting outward everywhere throughout the sphere. And if there is a pressure outside, then it is trying to cancel all the effect of the pressure inside. The pressure outside is trying to cancel, so it has a cancelling effect. So if we consider the outside pressure as well, then the net pressure inside the bubble is Pi minus P naught. Green arrows have a cancelling effect with the red arrows. So you have Pi minus P naught as the LHS, and the RHS is 4 gamma divided by R, and this establishes the relation between the pressure inside the bubble, the surface tension of the liquid the bubble is made of, and the radius of the bubble. Thank you for watching.